Imagine this: you've been fasting for days, skipping meals, watching the clock, waiting for that magic fat burning window, and yet the scale doesn't move. In fact, you feel more tired, more hungry, and sometimes even heavier than before. It's not because fasting doesn't work. It's because you're unknowingly making a few common mistakes that stop your body from using fasting the way it was designed to help you. Today, I want to walk you through the 5 fasting mistakes that may be holding you back from losing weight, and once you fix them, fasting can finally work for you instead of against you. When most people hear about fasting, they get excited and jump in headfirst. They hear stories of incredible weight loss, clear thinking, and boundless energy, and they think the best thing to do is stop eating for long stretches of time immediately. But the human body doesn't work like that. Your body has been running on sugar, carbohydrates, and quick energy for years, sometimes decades. And suddenly cutting that off is like pulling the rug out from under it. What happens? Blood sugar drops, hunger hormones like ghrelin scream at you, and your body panics because it hasn't yet learned how to tap into fat as fuel. This is why so many people start fasting, and within days they feel dizzy, irritable, exhausted, and ready to give up. It's not because fasting doesn't work, it's because the body hasn't been trained for it. Think about it this way: if you've never run a mile before, would you sign up for a marathon tomorrow? No. You train little by little, building stamina until your body can handle the longer distance. Fasting is no different. If you want your body to thrive on fasting, you have to prepare it, ease it in, and teach it how to transition from sugar burning to fat burning gradually. When you do this, fasting stops feeling like a fight and starts feeling like freedom. The preparation begins with what you eat before you ever attempt a long fast. If your meals are filled with processed foods, sugar, and constant snacking, your insulin levels are always high. That means your body is stuck in sugar burning mode, relying on quick fuel every few hours. The first step is to start lowering those insulin spikes by eating meals that are nutrient dense and low in refined carbs. Think clean proteins, healthy fats like avocado and olive oil, and vegetables that give your body vitamins and minerals without flooding it with sugar. When you start eating this way, your insulin comes down, and your body begins to remember that fat is also a fuel source it can use. Once you've shifted your food choices, the next step is to play with shorter fasting windows. Instead of jumping straight into a 24-hour fast, start with 12 hours. If you normally eat dinner at 8 p.m. and snack again at 10, then push your last meal back to 7 p.m. and don't eat again until 7 a.m. the next morning. That's already a 12-hour fast, and your body gets a chance to experience what it feels like to go without food overnight. Once that feels comfortable, you can extend it to 13, then 14, then 16 hours. Each step gives your body a chance to adapt without triggering panic. This gradual build makes fasting sustainable instead of overwhelming. Another part of preparation that most people skip is nutrient support. When you eat nutrient-dense foods before fasting, your body goes into the fast with more strength and balance. Minerals like magnesium, potassium, and sodium help steady your energy and mood. Protein helps repair and build cells so that fasting feels like rejuvenation instead of deprivation. Fiber from vegetables helps stabilize blood sugar so you don't feel a crash. All of these pieces work together to create a strong foundation for fasting. What's fascinating is that when you prepare properly, hunger hormones also start to shift. At first, your body will scream for food at the times you normally eat because it's expecting a sugar refill. But when you feed it nutrient-dense, low insulin meals and stretch out your eating window gradually, those hunger signals calm down. Ghrelin, the hunger hormone, starts to sync with your new rhythm. Leptin, the satiety hormone, becomes more sensitive again, meaning your body actually starts to tell you when it's satisfied instead of driving constant cravings. You begin to notice that you're not as hungry as you thought, and that's when fasting becomes easier. There's also a mental shift that happens when you ease into fasting instead of rushing it. In the beginning, if you jump into long fasts unprepared, your brain feels deprived, and deprivation leads to obsession. All you think about is food, and eventually willpower runs out. But when you transition slowly, your mind and body build confidence. You start to prove to yourself, I can go 12 hours without eating. I can go 14. I can make it to 16. That mindset creates momentum. Instead of feeling punished by fasting, you start to feel empowered by it. So when people say fasting is too hard, it's rarely the fasting itself. It's the lack of preparation. Your body is capable of incredible things, but it needs time to learn. Teaching your body to burn fat instead of sugar is like flipping on a switch you didn't even know you had. Once that switch is on, fasting becomes less about fighting cravings and more about enjoying energy, clarity, and weight loss that feels natural. One of the biggest misunderstandings about fasting is that people believe it's only about how many hours you can go without eating. They get obsessed with the clock, counting down the minutes until they can finally break their fast. And then when that moment comes, they eat whatever they've been craving all day. It might be a plate of pasta, a slice of pizza, or something sugary to reward themselves for being good. The problem is that this one choice can completely undo the benefits of the fast. Your body spent hours lowering insulin, repairing cells, and preparing to burn fat. But the second you give it processed carbs and sugar, you spike insulin back up and fat burning shuts down. The fast becomes nothing more than a window of willpower followed by a flood of the very things you're trying to escape. When you look at fasting correctly, you see that the window without food is only half of the equation. The other half is what you choose to put into your body once you finally eat. If the food you eat after fasting is nutrient dense and low in insulin impact, it actually accelerates the fat burning process your body just unlocked. But if the food is empty calories, your body gets pushed back into sugar burning, and you end up stuck in the same cycle of hunger, cravings, and fatigue. This is why so many people say they fast faithfully but don't see weight loss. It's not the fasting itself, it's what comes after. Breaking a fast is a unique moment for the body. After hours without food, your cells are highly receptive, your digestive system is primed, and your blood sugar is more sensitive. This is not the time to overwhelm your body with heavy starches or sugary treats. It's the time to feed it with nutrients that repair, replenish, and signal your metabolism to keep burning fat. Clean proteins like fish, chicken, or eggs rebuild tissues and stabilize hunger. Healthy fats like avocado, olives, or nuts provide long-lasting energy without spiking insulin. Vegetables flood your system with fiber, vitamins, and minerals that support detoxification and balance blood sugar. These foods not only extend the benefits of fasting, but also train your body to stay in fat-burning mode even after the meal. Another thing to understand is that your first meal sets the tone for the rest of your eating window. If you break a fast with sugar, your blood sugar spikes, insulin rises, and soon after you feel the crash. That crash leads to cravings, and before you know it, the rest of your eating window is filled with snack after snack, trying to bring your energy back up. But if you break your fast with a balanced, nutrient-rich meal, your blood sugar stays steady, your energy lasts, and your cravings disappear. This simple change can completely transform how fasting feels, because instead of fighting hunger all day, you feel satisfied and in control. Many people don't realize how much food choices influence hormones. When you eat refined carbs after a fast, your body produces a surge of insulin to handle the sudden rush of glucose. That insulin blocks fat burning and tells your body to store energy instead of release it. But when you choose low insulin foods, your body doesn't need to release as much insulin, so it keeps burning fat as fuel. This is why some people lose weight easily with fasting and others don't. The difference isn't the hours, it's the food quality. The beauty of nutrient-dense meals after fasting is that they help retrain your metabolism. If you've been stuck in sugar burning for years, your body forgets how to efficiently burn fat. But every time you end a fast with clean proteins, good fats, and vegetables, you're reinforcing the fat-burning pathways. Over time, your body becomes more metabolically flexible, meaning it can easily switch between sugar and fat as fuel. That flexibility is the key to sustainable weight loss, steady energy, and fewer cravings. It also helps to think about the emotional relationship with food during fasting. If you view the eating window as a reward for fasting, you'll always crave treats and junk food. But if you view it as a chance to nourish your body and extend the healing you started in the fast, your mindset shifts. Suddenly, food is no longer just about pleasure or reward, it's about partnership. You begin to see that fasting and food are not separate strategies, but two sides of the same coin working together. So while fasting hours matter, what you eat when you finally open your eating window matters even more. You can't out-fast in a poor diet, and you can't expect your body to burn fat if the moment you eat, you flood it with sugar. The real magic happens when fasting time meets nutrient-dense meals, and together they create a rhythm where your body feels safe to let go of weight, cravings fade, and energy flows naturally. It's easy to believe that if fasting works, then fasting longer must work even better. This is the trap so many people fall into. They push themselves into extreme fasting windows, ignoring the signals their bodies are giving them, because they think the longer they go without food, the faster the weight will come off. But the body is not a machine. You can simply run harder to get faster results. It's a dynamic, adaptive system that is always trying to protect you. When you push too hard with fasting, your body doesn't speed up fat loss. It slows it down. It raises cortisol, the stress hormone, to keep you alert and in survival mode. And when cortisol rises too high for too long, your body actually holds on to fat, especially around the belly, as a way to protect itself. This is one of the biggest reasons people plateau with fasting. They start strong, they see results in the beginning, and then they think the answer is to go longer and longer. At first, maybe they try 16 hours, then they push to 20, then 24, and then days on end. But instead of continuing to lose weight, they feel more tired, more irritable, their sleep starts to suffer, and sometimes they even gain weight. This happens because over-fasting tells the body that food is scarce, and when the body believes food is scarce, it does everything in its power to conserve energy. Metabolism slows, fat burning decreases, and hunger hormones go haywire. Your body's signals are not your enemy, they're your guide. If you feel energized during a fast, your body is adapting well. But if you start to feel weak, lightheaded, or constantly fatigued, that's not a sign of strength. It's a signal you're pushing too far. Listening to these cues is what keeps fasting sustainable. The goal isn't to win a prize for how many hours you can go without food. The goal is to use fasting as a tool that works with your biology instead of against it. This is why cycling fasting lengths is so powerful. Instead of fasting the same number of hours every day or constantly pushing for longer windows, you give your body variety. Some days you might fast for 12 or 14 hours, other days 16, and occasionally you can stretch to 24. That variation keeps your metabolism flexible and prevents the body from adapting to one routine. Just like exercise works better when you mix in different types of workouts, fasting works better when you mix in different fasting windows. It keeps your body guessing, it lowers stress, and it allows fat-burning pathways to stay active without triggering survival mode. There's also a psychological benefit to variation. If you force yourself into extreme fasting day after day, your mind begins to associate fasting with struggle, deprivation, and exhaustion. But when you give yourself flexibility, fasting feels lighter, more approachable, and more sustainable long term. You don't have to live in fear of failing if you eat earlier one day. Instead, you see it as part of the plan, part of the natural rhythm of fasting. This mental shift makes fasting something you can stick with for months and years instead of burning out after a few weeks. Adding variation doesn't just apply to fasting windows, it also applies to the food you eat when you break your fast. Sometimes breaking a fast with protein and vegetables is the right move. Other times your body might need more carbohydrates for energy or more healthy fats for stability. Paying attention to what your body needs in that moment keeps you from falling into rigid patterns that don't serve you. Fasting isn't about restriction. It's about rhythm, flexibility, and creating balance. When people ignore these principles and overfast, they often end up in the exact situation they were trying to avoid. They wanted to lose weight, but instead they gain it. They wanted more energy, but instead they feel drained. They wanted to feel in control, but instead they feel trapped by cravings and exhaustion. This is the body's way of saying it's out of balance. The solution isn't to push harder, it's to step back, listen, and create a cycle that honors both fasting and nourishment. The truth is, fasting isn't a race to see how long you can go without food. It's about teaching your body how to move between eating and resting in a way that supports fat burning, healing, and long-term health. When you honor your body's signals and use variation, fasting becomes a powerful tool that works with your biology instead of fighting it. That's where the real sustainable results come from. One of the most common reasons fasting doesn't deliver results has nothing to do with the hours you're fasting and everything to do with what you're drinking during that time. People often assume that as long as they aren't chewing food, they're still fasting, but that's not how the body works. The moment you sip on a flavored coffee, add cream and sugar, or drink a sweetened tea, your body receives signals that food has arrived. Insulin rises, digestion kicks in, and fat burning shuts off. Even the tiniest amounts of sugar or artificial sweeteners can be enough to interrupt the very process you're trying to activate. This is why so many people feel confused when they fast for hours but still don't see progress. It's not the fasting window itself. It's the drink sneaking insulin spikes into the middle of it. Clean fasting is about allowing your body to rest from the constant cycle of eating and digesting. The goal isn't just to skip food, it's to keep insulin low and stable so your body can switch into fat burning and repair mode. When insulin is quiet, your cells get the chance to clean up damaged proteins, heal, and release stored fat for energy. But when you drink something that tricks your body into thinking food is coming, insulin rises, and that repair work stops. Suddenly, instead of burning fat, your body is back to burning sugar or storing energy, and the benefits of fasting are cut short. This is why the safest choices during a fast are water, plain black coffee, and plain unsweetened tea. Water keeps you hydrated and supports every function in your body without interfering with insulin. Black coffee without cream, milk, or sugar not only keeps insulin low, but can also enhance fat burning by slightly increasing adrenaline and mobilizing fatty acids. Tea, when it's plain and unsweetened, can provide antioxidants and a calming effect without breaking the fast. These simple, clean options keep your body in the fasting state without sending mixed signals. Electrolytes are another overlooked part of clean fasting. When you fast, insulin drops, and with it, your kidneys release more sodium and water. That's why people often feel lightheaded, get headaches, or experience muscle cramps while fasting. It's not always hunger. It's often an electrolyte imbalance. Adding in clean electrolytes like sodium, potassium, and magnesium can make a huge difference in how energized and stable you feel during a fast. But it's important that electrolytes come without added sugars, flavors, or fillers that would spike insulin. A pinch of sea salt in water, a clean electrolyte powder with no sweeteners, or mineral drops are great ways to keep balance without breaking the fast. What surprises many people is how even small mistakes with drinks can set them back. That splash of milk in your coffee The zero-calorie soda with artificial sweeteners, the flavored water with hidden additives, they all send signals to your brain and pancreas that disrupt fasting. Artificial sweeteners in particular can confuse the body, leading to cravings and sometimes even an insulin response, which defeats the purpose of fasting entirely. These may feel like harmless little additions, but they create enough disruption to keep fat burning from turning on fully. Another factor to consider is how much we've been conditioned to associate drinks with comfort. Coffee with cream feels soothing, tea with honey feels nurturing, flavored water feels refreshing. During fasting, though, it's important to break those patterns and retrain your body and mind to find comfort in simplicity. Once you get used to clean fasting, you begin to realize how freeing it feels to not rely on constant sweet tastes or additives. You feel lighter, clearer, and more connected to your body's true signals. When people finally make the switch to clean fasting, the difference is almost immediate. Hunger becomes easier to manage, energy feels more stable, and the results start showing up more quickly. That's because the body is finally allowed to do what fasting was designed for: burn fat, heal, and reset without interruption. It's a reminder that fasting is not just about when you eat, it's about the full experience of giving your body a genuine break from food. It's such a small detail, but it changes everything. When you stick to clean fasting with water, plain coffee, plain tea, and clean electrolytes, you're creating the perfect environment for your body to shift into fat burning and healing. Even though it feels like just a drink, those choices either open the door to results or quietly shut it without you realizing. When you step into fasting, one of the biggest shifts that happens inside your body is the drop in insulin. This drop is what allows fat burning to turn on, healing processes to activate, and inflammation to calm down. But there's another side to this change that people often overlook. As insulin lowers, your kidneys release more sodium and water, which means you're flushing out electrolytes much faster than usual. This is why so many people, especially in the early days of fasting, complain about headaches, fatigue, irritability, or even bloating. It's not always hunger causing those symptoms. It's often an electrolyte imbalance. Electrolytes like sodium, potassium, and magnesium are not just optional add-ons. They are essential minerals that control some of the most important functions in your body: your heartbeat, your energy production, your muscle contractions, even your ability to think clearly. When these minerals are low, everything feels harder. Your cravings intensify, your energy crashes, and your fasting window feels like a battle. But when you replenish electrolytes, fasting becomes smoother, cravings fade, and your body can use fat as fuel without resistance. Sodium is the first one most people lose during fasting. Without enough sodium, you may feel dizzy when you stand up, notice more fatigue, or even experience bloating as your body struggles to balance water levels. Adding something as simple as a pinch of high-quality sea salt in your water or sipping on mineral-rich broth can bring instant relief. Potassium is equally important because it regulates muscle function and fluid balance. Without it, cramps, weakness, and heart palpitations can show up. Foods like avocado, spinach, or even clean electrolyte powders can help bring potassium back into balance once your eating window opens. Magnesium is the quiet powerhouse. It supports over 300 processes in the body, including relaxation, sleep, and blood sugar control. Without it, fasting feels more stressful. Cravings for sugar often spike. What's fascinating is how quickly your body responds when you restore these minerals. That pounding headache that seemed unbearable can vanish within minutes of getting enough sodium. The fatigue that made you want to quit fasting can lift when potassium levels rise. The restless energy or trouble sleeping that shows up after a few days of fasting often eases with magnesium. These minerals are like the hidden support system that make fasting feel less like deprivation and more like balance. Replenishing electrolytes doesn't mean breaking your fast if you do it the right way. Clean sources without added sugars or sweeteners keep insulin quiet while supporting your energy. A pinch of salt and water, unsweetened mineral drops, or clean electrolyte blends can all be used during your fasting window. Then, when you open your eating window, choosing foods rich in these minerals helps build up your reserves so that the next fast feels easier. This cycle of depleting during the fast and replenishing during the eating window is natural, but you have to be intentional about it to keep the body running smoothly. Many people underestimate how much electrolytes impact their experience with fasting. They think they're failing because they feel weak, tired, or can't get through their usual fasting window. But the truth is, it's not about willpower, it's about chemistry. If your minerals are off, no amount of discipline will make fasting feel good. When your minerals are balanced, fasting feels energizing instead of draining, and your metabolism stays active instead of slowing down to conserve energy. There's also an emotional layer to this. Cravings often have less to do with food and more to do with your body asking for minerals. That sudden urge for something salty, that desperate need for chocolate, that endless cycle of snacking, it's often your body's way of signaling a deficiency. By replenishing sodium, potassium, and magnesium, you quiet those cravings at the root. This makes fasting less of a mental battle and more of a natural flow. When people finally pay attention to electrolytes, they often describe fasting as transforming overnight. The fog lifts, energy returns, and the struggle fades. Instead of feeling like you're fighting your body, you feel like you're working with it. That's the difference minerals make. They turn fasting from a stressful drain into a supportive rhythm where metabolism stays strong, fat burning continues, and the body feels nourished even in the absence of food. When most people think about fasting, they focus on food and timing, but they overlook two of the biggest influences on whether fasting will actually work: stress and sleep. You can have the perfect fasting window, the cleanest diet, and the most discipline, but if your stress hormones are constantly elevated and you aren't sleeping deeply, your body will fight against you. Cortisol, the stress hormone, is designed to help you in short bursts. It raises blood sugar, sharpens focus, and gives you energy when you need it most. But when cortisol is high all the time, especially from emotional stress or lack of rest, it becomes one of the biggest drivers of fat storage. The body starts to cling to fat, particularly around the belly, because it thinks it needs reserves to survive. This means no matter how long you fast, your body will hesitate to release weight if it's living in a constant state of stress. The same is true for sleep. Deep sleep is when the body repairs, when hormones reset, and when your metabolism gets the signal that it's safe to burn fat. If you cut corners on sleep, staying up late, waking through the night, or sleeping too few hours, fasting feels harder and less effective. Lack of quality sleep raises cortisol, decreases insulin sensitivity, and ramps up hunger hormones like ghrelin. You've probably noticed that after a poor night's sleep, cravings feel stronger, your patience feels thinner, and fasting feels almost impossible. That's not a lack of willpower, that's biology reacting to the stress of sleep deprivation. Emotional stress plays a similar role. Worry, pressure, or unresolved tension in your life all send signals to your nervous system that you're not safe. Your body doesn't know the difference between a stressful conversation at work and running from danger. It responds the same way, by elevating cortisol and preparing to store energy. This is why some people feel like they're doing everything right but can't lose weight. They're not failing with fasting. They're fasting in an environment where their body feels too threatened to let go of fat. What often gets overlooked is how stress and sleep interact with fasting. When you fast, you're already putting the body under a controlled stress. That's part of why fasting works. It challenges your system to adapt and grow stronger. But if your baseline stress is already high, or if you're running on poor sleep, that extra stress from fasting becomes too much. Instead of feeling energized and clear, you feel drained and wired. Your body shifts into survival mode, holding on to fat and breaking down muscle to keep going. The very tool that's meant to heal you becomes another stressor. This is why rest is as important as the fast itself. Giving your body time to recover, prioritizing deep sleep, and finding ways to lower emotional stress create the foundation that fasting builds upon. Practices like meditation, breathing exercises, gentle walks, or simply disconnecting from screens before bed help lower cortisol so fasting feels lighter instead of heavier. Creating a sleep routine that supports deep rest, dark rooms, consistent bedtimes, avoiding stimulants allows your hormones to reset and makes fasting far more effective. When people finally make the connection between stress, sleep, and fasting, everything changes. They realize that the weight isn't stuck because they're doing fasting wrong. It's stuck because their body doesn't feel safe enough to release it. By addressing stress and prioritizing sleep, fasting becomes easier. Cravings shrink, energy rises, and weight loss flows more naturally. It's not about pushing harder with longer fasts. It's about creating balance so your body feels supported. When stress is lowered and sleep is restored, fasting can do what it was meant to do: heal, restore, and unlock fat burning without resistance.